mean, it's so easy to lose sight of it, though. They just, you know, it's like, just, I mean,
well, we all want to be somewhere, and we don't usually want to enjoy the process of getting there.
No.
And seeing the Lord's hand in all of it.
Yeah.
And thinking, okay, you know, I'm not probably counting all my blessings. I'm probably just thinking of this one thing I'm trying to move towards.
That's right. And well, you don't see it in the storm. You see it after. You know, it's just, I mean, it's just, I always use that analogy of, you know, a storm comes through, right?
Yeah.
Just think, and like, just think of like if a hurricane or tornado comes through, whatever. Like, in the midst of it, you're just like, oh, what?
Yeah.
And then once it comes through, now you see the effects of it.
Yep.
You know,
Yep.
and that it's kind of the same thing I think with, you know, with our walk is when we're like we just can't see.
No.
We can't.
No.
You know.
Nope.
You know, just like when Peter stepped out of the boat, he didn't see the storm. He saw. Jesus, and he was fine.
Yeah.
Until then, when he realized there was a storm.
Yeah.
And he was like, wait,
hold on.
And he took his focus off of that. That's when he began to sink. And I think, you know, for us, so much we're in the midst of our circumstances and our life and day to day. And we just, we take our eyes off of that and we start, which, you know, is a tactic of the enemy.
It is.
No, you need to focus on this. And so our focus goes here. Yeah. And then we're like, oh, you know, we got to get back. So,
Well, and I think, like, for me, the Lord has to send some heavy storms and multiple storms to get my attention sometimes.
Oh, yeah. I got to get whacked over the head. As many times as I've seen it, that's the sad part. As many times as you look back and you're like, oh my gosh, and you can see God's hand here, here. Like, it's all over the story, right?
Oh, man.
And you look back and you're like, oh, I wouldn't trade it. Like, it's great. You see it. And then all of a sudden, here it comes again. And it's like the same old pattern.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's just like God's got to beat you over the head. That's the way it is with me anyway. It's like just,
Oh, yeah. No, I get it. I mean, that's why this is called multiple exposures to the gospel.
Oh, yeah.
I need multiple exposures to be reminded of how good he is and how I forget.
Absolutely.
So, well, Ed, thanks so much for taking the time to be here. Yeah. I really do appreciate it. And I want to start by reading Mark chapter 6. This is Mark 6. And it is verses 1 through 6. It says this. It says, he went away from there, and he came to his hometown, and his disciples followed him, and on the Sabbath he began to teach in the synagogue. And many who heard him were astonished, saying, where did this man get these things? What is this wisdom given to him? How are such mighty works done by his hands? Is not this the carpenter, the son of Mary, and the brother of James, and Joseph, and Judas, and Simon? And are not his sisters here with us? And they took offense at him and said to him, a prophet is not without honor except in his hometown, among his relatives, and his own household. And he could do no mighty work there except that he laid his hands on a few sick people and healed them. And he marveled because of their unbelief. And he went among the villages teaching. I share that because Jesus, prior to Mark 6, had done some incredible miracles. He gets out of a boat, he heals a demoniac, a man who has legions of demons, which is pretty crazy. I mean, think about somebody you're face-to-face with who has multiple demons in them, but he's able to cast them out, put the man in his right mind. He turns from there and goes into the town, and there's Jairus is a head official. He comes to him and says, my daughter's about to die. You need to come heal her, please. He's on his way, and then a huge crowd stops him. Somebody touches him. He says, why did the power go out? They're like, there's a bunch of people touching you. Turns around and finds out it's a woman who had a discharge of blood for 12 years. 12 years. Okay, so she's not an emergency. The daughter who's about to die, that's an emergency, but she's not an emergency, but she's healed by touching Jesus. And then he leaves from there, and he goes to Jairus' house, and he says, oh, she's just sleeping. Everybody's like, no, she's dead. They actually laughed at Jesus. They mocked him. And then he said, everybody out. He took in his disciples with him, and he took the little girl by the hand and he raised her from the dead. So he exorcises demons. He heals a woman of a discharge of blood, and then he raises somebody from the dead. And the very next thing he does is he goes into a synagogue and begins to teach, and they reject him. oh, you've done all these mighty things, but we're going to reject you. And we can see this as a foretelling of what's to come in Jesus' life, where he's ultimately rejected on the cross. And he's rejected there because all of our sin was put on him. 2 Corinthians 5:21. He was made to be sin who knew no sin, so that in him we might become the righteousness of God. And so he takes on all our sin, and he's rejected on the cross so that we can be received into the family of God. We are adopted into God's family through Jesus Christ, and this is that great exchange that happens there on the cross for us. And yes, we'll probably taste some rejection in life. There'll be things that happen that we're dismayed by. We can't believe they're happening. And yet in the end, we know that the ultimate rejection happened there on the cross so that we can be received, that we're always in God's family, that we have all the rights and purposes and blessings that God has in store for us to prosper us and not to harm us in the end. But this kind of dovetails back to what we were talking about before we even got started with. We forget. We forget how good he is and what he's done for us. And the promises, when you read the Old Testament, and I spent way too many years in seminary. It took me too long to get out of there. But in the Old Testament, it's written in Hebrew, and so you read it backwards, up and down and backwards. And many times in our lives, we need to read back into history and see how faithful he was, obviously in the Scripture, but also in our own lives, so that we can turn around and say, okay, as I move forward, he's the same yesterday, today, and forever. He will not leave you nor forsake you. He'll be with you always to the end of the age. He's promised these things. It's just we forget the promises.
Sure.
And there's an old hymn, Standing on the Promises of God. We probably should stand on those a lot more than what we do.
Yeah.
So, but thank you for taking the time. I appreciate you stopping by. And man, it's kind of crazy that we've been able to reconnect, because I think the last time I saw you, connected with you, talked to you, I think I saw you one time at Mod Pizza, and I came over and talked to you. I was like, hey, how are you? And you were kind of like, holy cow, But prior to that, it had been years.
Sure.
Probably since I played basketball for you.
Sure.
For Harrison.
Yeah.
And that must have been 92, 3, 4?
Yes.
4, probably something like that?
Yes.
Which has been just a couple of years ago.
Yes.
So I want to start by let's go back all the way. And where were you born and raised?
Here, Powder Springs.
And that's crazy, isn't it?
Yes. Born and raised in Powder Springs, in the community. Been here my entire life.
You're a unicorn.
I guess so. It's sort of crazy this day and age, to think that you've stayed in the same place all these years. But I have, been here my entire life. Yep.
Well, I think that's another aspect that connects us, is that I'm from here, born and raised here.
Sure.
And we both can probably attest to this. You start seeing 95, 96, 97, Olympics come to town. A lot of businesses, people move here. Things change. Dallas Highway goes from a 2-lane road to a 4-lane road.
Sure.
I remember going away to college and coming back and thinking, what happened to West Cobb? It doesn't look the same anymore. But it was a small, sleepy community. And you either went to North Cobb, McEachern, or Marietta. Those were the only 3 high schools
on this side. Yes.
Yep. And now today, it's innumerable. There's so many schools everywhere, because there have been so many people move to the area, and it's continued that growth on out into Paulding County the same way.
Sure.
All right. So you're born and raised here. Tell me a little bit. Mom, dad, siblings, all that kind of stuff. What does that look like?
So I have an older brother, 7 years older than me.
Okay.
So it was almost. It's almost a little bit like two. There wasn't a sibling in between there. So my brother graduated high school. I was in 5th grade. Wow.
Wow.
So my brother still lives in Powder Springs, lives around the corner from me.
That's great.
Dad grew up in Hueytown, Alabama.
Okay.
That's where my dad grew up. Where he was from. My mom, she was from Dallas. Over Paulding County.
Yeah.
So they met at Berry College. They both went to Berry College as freshmen. they met, got married, and my dad went to work for, at the time, it was called the First National Bank of Atlanta.
Okay.
In downtown Atlanta. And they, over time, it went from First National Bank of Atlanta to First Atlanta to Wachovia to now Wells Fargo is what it was. Okay. So my dad worked for 40 years for them.
That's unheard of.
And my dad passed away 7 years ago now.
Okay.
But yeah, just you know, the house that I grew up in, which we moved my mom a couple years ago to assisted living. Okay. She's in her late 80s now, but she was in the same house that they moved to when I was one. I was one, and that house is still there. We rent it out now because, you know, my mom still owns it though. But yeah, insane. But yeah, I mean, when you talk about like being in the community and born and stayed there, like we've stayed here. My parents never moved. I mean, never moved the house, same place. So for, you know, 54 years they've been in that same spot. It's kind of crazy.
That is unheard of.
It is. It's
because
insane.
In a transient world in which we live, everybody seems to always be moving, or jobs will take you somewhere else.
Yep. Exactly.
And especially for his career, as the bank changed, but he never went anywhere.
He never. I remember. I want to say I was in late high school, and it's when they were making the change sort of from First Atlanta over to Wachovia was just going to be the name for everything. Like First Atlanta was a division of Wachovia, which was out of North Carolina, but they were just going to be everything. And they gave him an opportunity to move to Winston-Salem, North Carolina, which is where their headquarters were.
Yeah.
And, you know, he was like, I've been doing this, you know, 35 years. Yeah. Like, I have no interest in moving. And I remember they at the time they were like, you know, you can move or, you know, you work another year and we'll offer you early retirement. So he's like, I'll just take early retirement. So that's what he did. And it's funny. Then he retired and then he went to work up at the Hardy dealership over, and just driving cars for them, whatever. Thought that was the best job he ever had. Loved it. Absolutely loved it. It's crazy. I'm like, oh my goodness, Dad, what are you doing? You know, but he loved it, you know, and, but yeah, just been in the community my whole life.
Well, this takes me to, as you grew up, where did you go to? Elementary school, middle school, high school? What did that look like for you?
Yeah, so elementary school was Powder Springs Elementary.
Okay.
Not the current one. There was an older one.
Yeah.
Which is now, I think, like a historical museum for Powder Springs or something like that. It was an old building. I'm kind of nostalgic, so I love those old buildings. But went at TAP Middle School.
Okay, yeah.
And then went to McEachern High School.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
So, yeah.
What kind of sports did you play growing up?
Growing up, I was football, basketball, baseball.
Yeah. Seasonally, as the seasons went through?
As the seasons went, year round. I mean, like I remember, I think I started playing football when I was like 5. I mean, it was nuts. But yeah, just came through, played all 3 of those until I got to high school. And then when I got to high school, I just decided, you know, I really love basketball. I want to focus on basketball. And so just dropped the other sports, just focused on that and played basketball in high school.
When did you first realize that you had this kind of drawing towards being a coach?
Oddly enough, I was coaching you.
I'm surprised that didn't turn you away.
8th grade basketball. So I was in college at Kennesaw State, and this was early 90s, 92, I guess. So Harrison opened in 91, and the guy that was my JV coach at McEachern, Ron Brookins, he had gotten the Harrison job. He was the first head basketball coach at Harrison.
Yeah.
So when he got that job, he called me and just said, hey, you know, would you be interested in coaching middle school? You know, because middle school, you'd get volunteers to coach.
Right.
Whatever. Sure.
Yeah.
You know, so it was actually me and another guy that both had played for him at McEachern, and we'd played together at McEachern. And we were coaching seventh. It was just 7th and 8th grade at the time. You didn't have 6th grade teams then.
Right.
So I was coaching 7th grade. He was coaching 8th grade. And we did that. And then my second year, and I was a business major at the time.
Okay.
And I really enjoyed it. I mean, obviously being brand new, you didn't win hardly any games or whatever. But then I remember my second year, I went from the 7th grade to the 8th grade. I moved up with that group of guys. Yep. And my second year, I think you came in. Mm-hmm. I want to say Daniel Cobb came in.
That's right.
At the time. And there were some other, because, it was new and I was the second year. So we had some new guys added to the mix, and we ended up having it was a fun year. Yeah. I enjoyed coaching, good year. And I remember, Coach Brookins and I talking about it, whatever. And I'm like, I think this is what I'd like to do. I really enjoy coaching basketball. So then it began, how do I do that? And I remember him, and he was a math teacher at the time. I remember him telling me, he said, go math or science. He said, if you go math or science to get your teaching degree, then you'll have choices of where you can coach and get a job. And I was always pretty good at math, and I liked math. So I'm like, okay. So I changed my major to secondary education math and did that. Coached, I think I coached one more year there at Harrison, and then got a job at McEachern coaching there. So, yeah.
Isn't that wild how you just kind of dip your toe into something? You think, we'll give this a shot. I enjoy it. We'll see what happens. And then the Lord kicks open a whole nother door.
Sure.
For you to explore, right? Sure. It's kind of like when Jesus said, ask, seek, and knock. And here it is. If you'd like to explore it, you have the option.
Sure.
And then some of your thinking starts to change, like, maybe this is something I'd like to actually do as a living, full-time. I do remember, so both of my sisters obviously go to McEachern. You went to school with them.
Yeah, I did.
One graduated in 90, the other one graduated in 92. Mm-hmm. What year did you graduate?
89.
Okay, all right. So I always wanted to be an Indian, right? I mean, it was just, that was what you did. If you lived over here, it was like everything.
If you grew up in Powder Springs, that's what it was. Absolutely.
And then the school district decides to build Harrison. Mm-hmm. I made the 7th grade McEachern basketball team as a 6th grader. So then she made it as a 7th grader. So I was over there. And then that's when they redistrict everything. And I had to go to Harrison. Now I had a good friend, Matt Bunch, who was already playing for you.
I remember Matt Bunch.
Daniel Cobb and I grew up doing ungodly things, and so it was like, all right, let's go there to Harrison. And then you had Matt Brock, and you had the Alphabet Brothers. I mean,
Antoine and Armand.
That's right. Yeah. I mean, I got over and I was like, this is a really good team. I mean, there's a lot of good players here. But it was so much fun playing that 8th grade year, playing for you, playing on that team. And so from the other side of things, it's kind of cool how the Lord's steering your path. And at the same time, I'm enjoying playing for you. I'm also enjoying playing with these guys.
Sure.
And it's wild because in 1 year's time, you're starting to think, this is where I need to go.
Yeah.
All right. So you go through Kennesaw State, graduate there.
Yep.
Degree in math, teaching in the math. Okay.
Yep.
And then your first job, you said, was at McEachern.
It was.
All right. Who was the head coach over there? What it looked like?
So I student taught at McEachern in the fall.
Okay.
And I remember Ralph Williams was the principal at the time, who was my principal when I was there. I mean, if you've been around here and know McEachern, you probably know Ralph Williams. And he calls me in one day and he's like, hey, I got a job for you second semester, and it was part-time, but I'm like, I don't care, because that's where I wanted to be.
Right.
It was my alma mater.
Yeah.
And so I got there. The head coach at the time was Dave Westerfield, who I'd played for when I was there.
Yeah.
Oddly enough, Ron Brookins had left Harrison and went back to McEachern, which is where he was an assistant. So he went back to McEachern again. Okay. So he was there. And then just a lot of the teachers and staff that, I was only, now you're, 4 4.5 years removed from high school, a lot of the teachers and stuff that I had are still there. We're still there.
Yeah.
And so just going back was, it's kind of cool, being around all of them. And, back in, like I said, growing up, that like, it was like, oh, that was where you want to be. And that, and Harrison was still new. And so, yeah, it was great just to be able to go back and work and teach with a lot of those people who had, a lot of influence over me in my time in high school and whatnot. So it was a neat experience.
So who were some of the coaches that influenced you? Even maybe when you were younger, you played for different people as you're looking back. And then obviously as you go into high school, you get prepared to come out and be a coach. Who are some of those key figures that kind of influenced you?
Well, I mean, obviously Coach Westerfield being my head coach, in high school, and then being able to go back and coach with him and do that. Coach Brookins also, I mean, just, coaching with him. And he was my JV coach when I was at McEachern, and then going to, Harrison and, just working summer camps and doing some things and then coming back. Big influence there. People like, Jimmy Dorsey, head football coach a long time at McEachern. Just seeing, the way he runs the program and carried himself. Patty Craven, longtime volleyball coach and tennis coach at McEachern, PE teacher. Just, her. David Joyner, who was a longtime baseball coach at McEachern. And they were there when I was a student. So being able to come back and, you see a different side of them than you did. Like, as a player, you see a certain side as a coach, but then as a colleague, it's different.
It is.
And so the unique thing was you got to see a different side of them, because it wasn't, player coach or teacher student anymore. It now was, like I said, colleague. And you're working with them, and just the things that you see that they do behind the scenes, the way they carry themselves, the way they run the programs, the things that they're doing that nobody else really ever sees and you don't get credit for and whatnot. But a lot of it was just the care I felt like that they had for not just the students and the athletes and whatnot, but the overall program, the facilities, the uniforms, mowing grass and just like little details that I think we take for granted a lot of times, but go into making it successful.
That's right.
Steve Jones was there for a little while when I was at McEachern. So there's just I could go on and on to a litany of people that I've worked with and had influence with. But it was just, again, just a good experience to see them in a different light and learn from them as I'm trying to figure out who I am as a teacher and a coach, and and build that.
Yeah, and if you look back at that time when obviously you played there, and then you're coaching at McEachern, it's kind of like this recipe, this concoction or amalgamation of highly successful coaches.
Yes,
that you can't dream up. It's not like you can handpick this and bring them in. It's honestly, if we want to talk about it in a theological perspective, it's God's providence. He's pulling different people together at a period of time to influence a whole nother generation of people that would be sent out to do similar things, whether it was coaching or it's in the business world or whatever. I mean, they touched the lives of thousands of students.
Oh, 100%.
That have changed not only our area where we live, but much further out.
Yeah, and the unique thing too that I always take away from that is how well everyone worked together. It wasn't just it wasn't football, I've got my thing.
Yeah.
I don't care about anybody else. Basketball, I got my thing.
Right.
And it was everybody in the same boat, rowing in the same direction.
Yeah.
Like it was just, and I think that was a big part of why they were so successful.
I agree.
Is because of the teamwork. And that was something that I really carried with me throughout, just in my career when I transitioned, over to Hillgrove to start that program. Yeah. Dave Richardson, who was an assistant baseball coach, he and I came to McEachern at the same time, but like he and I, we already had that. We worked together. Yeah. And he and I are really good friends and have stayed friends, but but we both had that. We already knew how to work together as coaches. And then, when you're bringing other coaches in, I mean, we kind of took for granted that happened everywhere. And when you talk to other people, you're like, that doesn't happen everywhere. No. So when you talk about all of that coming together and pulling different people and putting people in place, that's 100% true, because that just doesn't happen.
No. And because people have such different dispositions and propensities to act different ways. And yet it was almost like this culture was set, not like that. I mean, maybe Ralph Williams did do some of this, but not like that there was like, hey, I'm trying to lead you and show you that we're all one. But it was almost like it said McEachern or it said Indians on the uniform. And it didn't matter if you were in volleyball, football, baseball, basketball. It was about the school and how can we build each other up, almost like the scripture, encourage one another as you are doing. And it's not exactly, you're right, it's not that way at every school, because you can get very selfish and isolated into your own sport.
Sure.
Instead of saying, how can we work collectively? And now in this day and age where you have all these NIL deals and things, you've got different guys, coaches that are like, you can't go play that baseball, or you can't go play football, and you're trying to hoard and protect and make your own little tribe inside of the overall school.
Right. And it's gotten more difficult just with, kids specialize.
Yeah.
More and more now at an earlier age.
They do. And
so it's gotten more and more difficult to have the kid that plays the multiple sports. And I always joke with Coach Ironside, who was the football coach at Hillgrove for a long time when we were there. He's, I don't know, I think there's 8 or 9 guys that played for him that are in the NFL, right? I always joke with him, I'm like, they played basketball at one time, it's funny to me. Just a lot of the kids that like they played up until like 10th grade, and they were like, Coach, I think I'm gonna stick with football. And I was obviously trying to convince them to play basketball. Clearly, they made a good choice, seeing as how they're in the NFL. But it's more and more difficult to get kids, and I think it's difficult on the kids too, because all sports are year round.
They are.
And you really have to work on your craft.
You do.
If you want to excel at it.
Yeah.
And compete in this day and age. And so I don't blame them. Yeah. I would obviously, you'd love to have them, but it's just kind of where we're at, I think, in the state of high school youth sports now.
It's true.
Yeah.
Before we move to Hillgrove and your time there, just want to have a little parenthetical question to you, and that is, what was it like to coach with Coach Westerfield and Coach Brookins? Because, when I was growing up, that's all I wanted. I wanted to play for those guys.
Yeah.
I mean, I saw it. I was there every, Friday night basketball game, especially if it was against, Marietta, and you had the top bleachers were out, and the whole gym was full, and this was I don't know, it was the epic moment of the whole week, and you're watching the coaches and you're watching the players, and you got Don Dave Flemister out there playing on the court, and you got the Farley brothers.
Absolutely.
It was just one of those things. It was like, these are my guys. This is my team,
That's right.
But Coach Westerfield and Coach Brookins could not be more diametrically opposed in their dispositions, and yet they made such an incredible coaching duo.
Yep.
Westerfield, a little more, I don't want to say subdued, but just kind of a cerebral assassin. He's thinking, he's very methodical. He's ready to coach. He's ready to, but Brookins sometimes was the guy that could ignite the fire.
Sure.
You might see a clipboard on the floor at times.
Absolutely.
And it was, it was these two working in tandem
Yeah.
that just made the program flourish.
Yeah.
And it made so many other people want to back that program, to support the program, and to be a part of it.
Sure.
What was it like seeing those two together?
They very different personalities.
Yeah.
And yes, when Coach Westerfield very rarely got fired up.
Yeah.
But he would every once in a while. Coach Brookins probably stay fired up most of the time. But both of them, I think the fact that they did have the different personalities helped because, there are times that, you've got to get on somebody, and that works for that kid, right?
Right.
And I think Coach Brookins had a knack to be able to do that.
Yeah, he did.
But it's almost a little bit good cop, bad cop sometimes. Coach Brookins could do that, but then you got Coach Westerfield coming right alongside there that's able to provide the right after that, this encouragement, the support, the little more subdued part of it.
Right.
And it worked.
Yeah.
It worked well together. And the thing about it is, for me, watching that, you're able to see both pieces to that, right?
Yeah.
And so I think you take a little bit from what you see Coach Westerfield do. You take a little bit of what you see from Coach Brookins, and you like, okay, that works. This works, and all of that goes into building. Because as an assistant coach, you're trying to build, what's my philosophy going to be? What am I going to do? Like, I want to be a head coach, so if I'm going to be that, what am I going to be like? My personality was like, I didn't have the same personality that Coach Brookins has, and I don't have exactly the same personality that Coach Westerfield has.
Right.
So, like, how do you take your personality and take what those guys are doing, which highly successful, right?
Yep.
And mold that into, okay, this is what I want to do, and this is who I want to be as a coach. But yet you're trying to, look, you're seeing it done, and it's done well, and they're successful, and so you want to take that to the next step of when you get that opportunity. But it was great, and you'd play for Coach Brookins as a JV coach, and man, he was hard on you.
Oh, yeah.
He was tough, but I think a lot of that, it got you totally prepared then to go to the varsity level, where he's still an assistant, but now you're moving up to Coach Westerfield as the head coach, and you've already got a lot of that built in because you had to play for Coach Brookins, and so you can deal with hard. You can deal with you can deal with a coach getting on to you. And so, like I said, it just worked.
Yeah. Well, it takes a process to figure out who you are as a coach, right? But there was still a lot of maturity in you taking from both pieces and then saying, okay, who am I? How has the Lord wired me to be able to do this job and still take pieces of these assets that I've learned and implement them in this? I think that was one of the things that, I played for Coach Power and Coach Elkins at Harrison early days. And I'll never forget talking to Coach Elkins later on after he became the head coach and was there for 30 years. And he said, first year I tried to be like Mike. I tried to be like Coach Powers. And he said, I wasn't him. And he said, it wasn't a good season. It didn't go well. And I had to figure out who I was as a coach. And we all have to do that in life, right? Figure out who we are and how we kind of function best out of our own dispositions instead of trying to be somebody else, but still learning from others. All right, so you transition over to Hillgrove. Which year was that? What did that look like for you?
So Hillgrove opened in 2006.
Okay.
So I was an assistant coach at McEachern for 9 years. Coach Westerfield retires.
Okay.
And so I get the head job.
Yeah.
Now, at this point, Coach Brookins has moved on to Marietta as an assistant principal. He's an admin. And so I get the head job. And, you're like, dream job.
Yeah.
Like you talk about growing up. I played with Dondi. I played with Clay Harris. I played with Scott and, Jeff Farley, and I played Fred Hill and all those guys, I played with all those guys. So you're like, this is it, right? And really, I'm kind of like, all right, God's put me in this position. This is a dream position. Well, so I did that for 2 years, and it was tough. I mean, we had, transitioning, and when you talk about, Coach Westerfield been there a long time, but I'm not Coach Westerfield, and I got to do it my way, and you're learning and trying to take those pieces and learn. And so 2006, Hillgrove opens up, and there's, big, just a lot of, in the community. You're splitting the McEachern community.
Yeah, you are.
Happened with Harrison.
Yep.
And now it's happening again.
Yep.
15 years later with Hillgrove.
Yeah.
And there's just a lot of feelings and whatnot. And so I remember Joe Boland had gotten the principal job there.
Okay.
He was going to be the principal at Hillgrove. And I remember just asking, like, what do you think about the job? I mean, it's a brand new school. It's a chance to start a brand new program.
Right.
And, people are like, blah, blah, blah. I mean, I'm the head coach at McEachern, right? So, I remember the job opened like in January. And didn't hire the job until mid-April.
Okay.
I guess. Typically when you open a new school, you're going to hire your head football coach. You can get your fall sports kind of place, whatever. But then once that head basketball job comes up, I'm like, that's kind of, okay, we're going to hire this,
Yes. Yep.
At the time, the girls coach at McEachern was Cheryl Fowler. Great coach, longtime coach. She had taken the girls' job at Hillgrove.
Yeah.
And then she had worked for Joe Boland at Campbell way back when and whatever. So she'd taken the girls' job. I was like, okay, so I just remember, I don't know why, I had this stirring in my heart of just, is this something that you might want to do? And it kept coming up. The secretary at the time that they had hired for Hillgrove was someone that had been at McEachern, and I knew her well. And so I emailed her and was like, hey, have y'all hired that job? Just asking.
Yeah.
Because I was just curious, and she's like, nope, hadn't hired it. So it kind of went on and on and on. So I know it's kind of a long story, but just to kind of give you a sense of where I was at, I remember talking to Mr. Boland. This is the Friday before spring break. I'm talking to Mr. Boland, and he's over at Pine Mountain in an office over there. And he's just like, why don't you come talk to me about it? I'm like, Mr. Boland, I don't even know if I'm interested. I mean, I like McEachern.
Right.
Come talk to me. So I went over there and talked to him. We talked for like 2 hours. Just talked.
Wow.
It wasn't like an interview. It was just, we just talked. And he says, well, I've offered the job to somebody. He goes, I've interviewed like 10 people, Coach. And, this is from January to April now. So you're talking about like 8 weeks, right?
Yeah.
He's like, I've offered it. I ain't heard anything. So we go to spring break. I remember checking the website on Tuesday. I don't know why I did. I just did for whatever reason, and the job wasn't posted anymore. So I sent an email to Mr. Boland. Appreciate you talking to me. Thanks. I see it's not available. Good luck. I'm sure it'd be great. I get an email back from him the next morning. He's like, call me. So I called him, and he's like, Coach, if they've hired it, I don't know. And he said, but, office is closed. I'll find out Monday. Go spring break. I get to my desk on Monday morning. I come in, and I have an email from Mr. Boland, and it says, job is still open. Call me. So I call him. So, Coach, job's still open. We ain't hired it. I'm like, okay, great. He's like, you want to come over and talk about it? So I go over and talk to him again on that Monday. And at this point, I sent God is moving in my heart.
Yeah.
Like there's something.
Yeah.
Right. And so I go talk to him. He's like, you want to apply for it? I asked him point blank. I said, are you going to give me the job?
Mm-hmm.
And he says, well, there's a process here.
Yeah.
You have to apply for it. I'm like, hey. Well, and over spring break, I talked to several mentors over the time, and even people I'd worked with, and and everyone was like, it's a chance to start a program.
Yeah.
Like, you don't get this chance very often. Nope. If you think, now they all said, do you think you can get it? I'm like, I have no idea. So anyway, I go home and I apply.
Yeah.
He says, meet me here tomorrow morning, Tuesday morning. He goes, I'll meet you here at 7 o'clock. I'll interview you. So I'm scrambling around Monday night trying to get all my stuff together, whatever, still not knowing. So I go sit down, sit right there in the chair, and he looks straight at me and he goes, you want the job? And I was like, Mr. Bolin, you don't even know, like, you haven't interviewed me. You don't know me. And he said, Coach, I've made enough phone calls and I've talked to enough people. And he said, I know what I need to know. And he's like, do you want the job?
Wow.
And I'm sitting there thinking, I don't know if God could open it up any more than just this, right? Mm-hmm. And so I agreed. The hardest part was then I now had to go tell all of those people that I respected immensely. The Coach Dorsey's, even Coach Westerfield, who was retired at the time, the Patty Cravens, the David Joyners, all these people that had mentored me for so long that, hey, I'm leaving. Hardest thing I probably have ever done in my life. I'll be honest with you.
I bet.
It just, and look, they weren't real thrilled with me, to be honest with you. Rightfully so. I understood. Right. And I'll tell you, I took the job. 2 days later, like I was a wreck. I was a wreck. And I actually went to try and find our principal at McEachern at the time, which was Rob Benson, tried to find him to say, hey, I'm not going to take it. I'm going to stay. I probably tried to find him 5 or 6 times throughout the day. I never could find him. Like literally I'd go to the office and they'd say, oh, well, he's here. I'd go there, couldn't find him. Could not find him, Mick. Couldn't find him. And I go back home and, and my wife's like, it's because you're supposed to take the job. And so I let it go. And I stayed with it. But like that first year was rough. It was rough because I just kept questioning why in the world am I here? I'll never forget the first home game. We were playing Cherokee. Roger Guam was the coach of Cherokee, great basketball coach, respect him tremendously. We're playing, and they were good. And we've got a bunch of freshmen and sophomores out there. And I remember being in my office trying to put together like a uniform rack because we're just, and my wife was in there. And I remember her saying, like I was just all over the place. I was mad. I was upset. I was just angry, really. And she said, what is wrong with you? Like, this is your first, what is wrong with you? And I literally said to her, I said, I don't want to be here. I don't know why God brought me here. And it just should not be this hard, right? If this is really what he wants me to do. And that first year, and look, and here's the thing, things were great, Mick. Working for Joe Bolin was great. Dave Richardson he got hired as the baseball coach. He and I were, right there together. It was the people we had hired. It was great people. It was a new build. Everything was great, right? You got a new gym. It's nice. Like, you talk about circumstances, it couldn't be any better, right? And I am miserable. And so I remember after that first year and then going into the second year, and we had some pretty good players too. We had a lot of kids coming from McEachern. We had some pretty good players, and we had a good summer. And I was still just kind of struggling, and my wife made me go to counseling, and she's like, "No, we're going." She's like, "We're not doing that," and I'm like, "I'm not going." Probably one of the best decisions that I ever made because I basically spent the next 18 weeks. And what I wanted to understand was, why did you send me here, God? Why did you bring me here? Look, I was where I needed to be. I'm an alma mater. Why here? And I remember sitting in counseling, and she's like, when we get to the end of all this, the why is not going to matter. And what I learned in that whole process, a big part of what I learned was who I am in Christ, right? And what my identity is in Christ. Because what I was putting my identity in is being a basketball coach and being a math teacher, and I just learned that, who I was and how He sees me, and what I need to be putting, like putting my faith in, and put and so I learned a lot. It was almost one of those things after I got to the end of that, and now we're into year 2 at Hillgrove, and I'm looking back and I'm like, wait, okay, now I understand that. Now I understand that. And I was seeing Bible verses that I've read for years and years. I mean, I grew up in church. I've been a Christian since I was 13. These same Bible verses, they're like something new is jumping out. You know what I'm saying? Just something new off the page. And you're like, I'd never seen it that way before. Just because I was learning more about how God actually sees me. And, because if someone had said, how do you think God sees you on a scale of 1 to 10? I'd probably be like, 5, 6, because I'm looking at how I see me. And through that process, they were like, no, He sees you as a 10. You're a 10. Yeah, but you don't understand what I've done. Doesn't matter. This is why He did what He did, is because He sees you as worthy. He sees you as a 10. And after I got through that, my time at Hillgrove was great. It was phenomenal. I mean, like we went, and not just doing well and being successful, but just the stress and the burden and being kind of free from a lot of that. It helped me be a better coach. It helped me be a better teacher. It helped me be a better husband. It helped me be a better father. I mean, and so I kind of looked at it as there were things about me that needed to be fixed, right? That God wanted to do in order to use me, right? To further use me for His glory and His honor. And this was a way to do that. And I tell my wife all the time, how often do people get to stay in their same house, stay in their same community, not increase their commute, because from my house to McEachern and my house to Hillgrove was about the same, not do all of that. Like, I didn't have to, it's not like God said, I'm moving you to Colorado. I'm moving you to Guatemala.
Right. No.
He didn't. He said, this is like, because He knows me. Right. And He's like, this is what we need to do. And so it was just incredible there, what I learned. And then obviously, we went on to be pretty successful at Hillgrove. And quickly, really, I mean, our first year, I think we were 7-16. The next year we went 19-9 and made the state tournament. The next year we go 27-3. We win the region, and we get beat in the state tournament to a Tucker team that was really, really good, that played for the state championship. And that kind of just, from then on, it just, kind of set the stage for the success that we were able to have.
Wow.
And I know that was a long story, but that kind of tells you a little bit about how I got to. It wasn't just go to Hillgrove. It's great, blah, blah, blah. It wasn't one of those. It was a struggle. It was tough. It was what I needed to do, and I still feel like it's what God told me to do. And I always look back and think, what if I had not been obedient? What if I had not, did what I felt like God was calling me to do? And of all of the families and relationships and things that I would have missed out on, that He had for me, but I would have never known that.
That's right.
But because I felt like I stepped out and did what He asked me to do, I mean, you know, I've been just tremendously blessed in my time at Hillgrove.
Yeah. Well, your story is analogous to Abraham, isn't it? I mean, he's there with his father. He's in his land. He's got everything he needs. Mm-hmm. Everything is comfortable.
Sure.
And then God says, I want you to get out.
Sure.
I want you to leave.
100%.
And it doesn't make sense. Mm-hmm. But the question is always, are you going to be obedient to what God's calling you to do? And you go from comfortable to change. And change is not comfortable.
No, no. And you don't know how many times people told me at McEachern, they were like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
And, you know, and in my head, I'm thinking, what am I doing?
What am I doing? That's right.
I'm going from, like you said, McEachern, success, you know, athletics, highly successful, great, to brand new, which, you know, starting brand new. Like, there's no guarantee we're going to win 19 games in year 2.
Nope.
We might have won 5 games for 5 or 6, 7 years. Yeah. You know, fortunately for us, you know, God blessed us and blessed us with great players and, you know, great coaching staff. And, you know, I had the same coaching staff for like 10 years, which was unbelievable. Great. And, you know, I was just surrounded by great people and he blessed that. But yeah, no, I'd say to Laura Beth, my wife, a lot of times I'm like, you know, why in the world has God sent me to Nineveh? You know, like, I mean, you know, I really felt a little bit, you know, Jonah was, I'm not going there. And that's kind of in the process. That's kind of how I felt. I kind of felt like God saying, this is what I want you to do. And I'm like, I'm not going there. What, you know, so anyway.
And Jonah couldn't see all the blessings that God was doing either at the time.
Absolutely.
And the amazing thing is, God blessed you, but you were a blessing to so many others. And that blessing doesn't flow unless somebody, and it just takes one, to step out by faith to do something.
Yeah.
And God will do it. We're just very hesitant to want to do things that are not in our comfort zone. Or don't fall into the spreadsheet that we've already put in place. So,
and my whole life I'd been comfortable. I mean, I grew up here. I grew up watching McEachern, wanting to go to McEachern, went to college, went back to McEachern. So when you talk about being comfortable, and I think that was a big part of it. God was like, it's time to get you uncomfortable because that's how you're going to grow.
That's it.
In a lot of areas, not just in my faith, but it's just, you need to grow. And, you know, and it did. And so it was, you know, it was great for me, a great move for me, but also a great move for my spiritual journey as well in getting me, you know, more of, and growing in areas that I needed to grow in.
He's so gracious to us. A lot of times we can't see it until we look back. This takes me to one little question I have for you. In the process of all this going on, when did you meet your wife? How did you meet your wife?
Okay.
Because obviously you just told us a little bit about her.
Sure.
And behind every successful man, and I should scratch that, beside every great man is a great wife.
Sure.
The two have become one flesh. God puts us together because we need our wives. We need our husbands, vice versa. So how did you meet her? When was that? What did it look like for you?
So we met in high school.
Okay.
I was actually, it was the end of my sophomore year, but right at the end. And she was a freshman at the time. She's a year behind me.
Okay.
We were actually at a state tournament baseball game for the year McEachern, 1987. McEachern won the high school state championship in baseball. Wow. We were at a tournament game. It wasn't the state championship, but I remember it was over. It was at the field at South Cobb.
Yep.
That's where the game was being played.
Okay.
I can't remember who we were playing, but I remember Chris Butler was pitching. Okay. And I grew up with Chris Butler, and like, I always remember when he pitched in youth ball, you're like, oh God, you know? So, it was a 19 inning game.
Holy
Mick.
cow.
Chris threw the complete game. But here's the thing. I remember going back, when I went back, Carl Rowland was the coach at the time.
Uh-huh.
I remember asking him, I'm like, Coach Rowland, like, I'm not a baseball guy, but 19, he goes, he was only throwing like 3 pitches an inning. Because he would like, he'd throw a pitch, ground ball out.
Yeah.
Like, throw 3 pitches, strikeout. throw a pitch. He said, we were through, he goes, he had only thrown like 90-something pitches. It was insane.
That's wild.
Anyway, the side story. But I actually, one of my friends had been dating my wife and they had broke up or whatever. So we had went to the game. Well, I actually ended up sitting next to her at the game and just got to know her. We were talking at the game. I'll never forget, we were squeezed in. It was packed. And she asked me, she was like, can you go to the concession stand and get me a blow pop? And, I was pretty mild-mannered guy and whatever. I was like, no offense, but I'm not getting up out of this crowd and fighting through for a 10-cent blow pop. At the time, blow pop's 10 cents. So anyway, that was how we met. And we started dating that summer. And we dated through high school and college and ended up getting married. So, and listen, and when you say, but like beside every man beside him is a great woman. Like my wife is incredible. She is an incredible, mom. She's an incredible daughter. She's an incredible wife. She's just like, and listen, when I went to Hillgrove without her, I wouldn't have made it because, and she was the big influence, and the thing driving us to go to, to go to counseling. I remember because I was like, no. And she was like, I think we need to go. I remember she was taking my son to a birthday party and she was like, are you going? I'm like, I'm not going. Cause I was depressed. I'm like, I ain't going to see it.
Yeah.
I remember she looked at me and she said, we can't depend on you anymore. Mm-hmm. And when she said that, for me, like, oh God, of all the things she could say to me, that may have been the worst. Yeah. And at that point, I'm like, I got to do something because now this is not just about me. Now this is about my family. Yep. This is about being a father, being a husband. Yep. Like there's way more to this than just me feeling sorry for myself because, I'm not comfortable anymore. Yeah. And change has happened. So she's tremendous. And she, when she walks into a room, people will say this, if a lot of people know her, like she walks into a room, the room lights up. She's just, that's the kind of personality she has. So she's tremendous. Yeah.
Wow. Well, we don't have too much longer because we do have batteries that will run out on us.
Okay.
but I do want to move to another change in your life.
Okay.
You finish up coaching.
Sure.
You're now head of school at Dominion Christian School.
Yeah.
Which is a whole nother transition.
Absolutely.
And I'm sure another story we could talk about. God obviously continues to move you in different venues, and you're still in education.
Yes.
But you're in a little bit different role, position. Mm-hmm. Let me ask you this. Inside this education system, there's change coming for a lot of people in the days ahead, and it's AI. Mm-hmm. A lot of people are already implementing it. What does it look like for education? Are you already seeing some things that it's changing? And as we look 2-3 years down the road, what do you think that will probably be the biggest areas that it will change in education itself?
Yeah. So going to Dominion was another big change. And another, the nice thing was because of what I've experienced going to Hillgrove, when I went to Dominion, it was just a lot easier because I really felt like this is what God's. Yeah. And again, it was one of those things. God just. I'm public school, right?
Yeah, that's right.
You're gonna hire me to be the head of school of a private Christian school, like.
Right.
It was crazy. Which again, that's a whole nother story, similar to the Hillgrove story, but unbelievable. But again, I think it was God saying, "This is what I have for you." Yeah. And so, but anyway, to your AI question, AI impactful already significantly. I think in education, what you have to do is you have to figure out how do we use it, because you could bury your head in the sand and say, not dealing with it,
Yep.
We're not going to allow kids to use it.
Yep.
We're not going to, you know what? You're writing a paper, you AI the thing, we're going to,
Yeah.
I think, I don't think that's a good approach.
Right.
I think that, I don't think it's going anywhere.
No.
So what we try to do, at Dominion especially, is we try to teach our kids, here are the responsible ways to use it. Like, in English, the teacher may say, okay, you can use it for your outline to get your thoughts together.
Right.
And she allows them to do that. We've actually gone to where we start writing papers in class, just because obviously outside of class they can use it. Now, we have programs and systems that flag it all.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of it too is just, if a kid, turns in a paper and it's 98% AI, they've just timed this prompt. I think helping them understand, listen, this is not acceptable. Yeah. This is not where, rather than just saying zero, that we try to use it as a teachable moment, right? But again, also trying to show them how to be responsible in using it, in moving forward, because it is useful. It has some, like for somebody like me who always struggled to get a paper going, to get my ideas down,
right?
I take AI and I use it to organize my thoughts.
Yep.
Then I take my thoughts, which those are my thoughts,
right?
But it's helped me to organize it.
Yep.
Now I take those. Now I can write.
Right.
Now I can put them into a letter or an email or something like that. So I think that's the important thing, is not just saying AI is bad, we're not using AI.
Right.
Is teaching people how to use it, this is how it can help you. And I think that's just going to get more and more. Like I think about in my position, we've used it. It helps us with processes a lot of like, for example, we need to change our schedule one day because we've decided we have this guest speaker that's in town. And they're in town for 2 days, and so we weren't expecting it. It wasn't part of we're like, we need to change the schedule because we need to give them an hour.
Right.
So we simply go in, we take our schedule, we put it into chat, and we're like, we need an hour from 9 to 10. Can you create the schedule? Boom. There's the schedule.
Wow.
Now, could we do that? We could.
Yeah.
It would take us 30 minutes. It took us 4 minutes. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
So that's useful for us because it saves us time in doing, just changing our schedule. And so those are just that's a small way of how we're using it to help us be more efficient. So
no, I think that's the right way to go. I actually had Justin Fuller sit in that seat not too long ago, and we were talking about how AI is impacting the car business. But from a Christian standpoint, you don't want to just completely receive everything from AI, and you don't want to reject everything. And I think there's a middle ground of redeeming and using it for time sufficiency. But also, I was talking to an orthopedic doctor the other day, and he said he can take a lot of the different peer-reviewed articles of a certain issue that he's looking at, put them all together in AI, and then it comes back with a synopsis, and he's like, this is wonderful. It would have taken me forever to read all this stuff and then gather my thoughts.
Absolutely.
It's here. I can read it. Boom, I'm ready to go, and then I can make adjustments to the overall treatment plan for this particular individual.
Absolutely. So it's helped us with resumes.
Oh, yeah.
Well, we're getting applicants, and we get a resume, and we get an application, and we're and you're reading through all that information and you're trying to compare. And so we've been able to, we'll take our job description and put it in. And then we'll take, or we'll say, hey, here's key features of the job. And then we'll put in a resume and we'll put in an application and say, hey, what are strengths and weaknesses that you see here? And like you say, some of it you get, you're like, whatever. But some of it you get, you're like, that, I didn't think about that. And so then it prompts an interview question. And again, we might get 5 pages of stuff from AI, and I only take 2 of the questions or 2 of the information, but it allows me in an interview And what it's done, we're tailoring our interviews now towards what the job is and what their skill set is towards that job, not just a canned interview with pre-wrote questions for every person. We might interview 4 people for one job, and every single interview is different because they all have different skill sets. They all have different strengths and weaknesses that they're bringing to the table, but we're able to dig into those just because, again, we've gotten a synopsis, a summary of really what they have. And I think it's really improved our interview because we're really getting to know the candidates better than just, here's a set of questions, here's a rubric, how did they score out?
That's really good. Wow. Speaking of a little bit more change, looks like some big change coming in August of 2027 for you guys. What's happening at Dominion?
So August of 2027, we will be opening a lower school, a K through 5 lower school.
That's great.
We are extremely excited about that. We've been 6 through 12 since 2010, I believe. Originally opened as a high school, 9 through 12. Added the middle school back in 2010, and so now we're going to add the lower school to become a full K through 12 school. We've already hired a lower school principal. She's on staff, so she'll be getting prepared for that. Next year, which oddly enough, the person we hired is someone that I met in my time at Hillgrove, whose kids played in our youth league and middle school program. Crazy, right? When you talk about just, we're really excited about that. We think that it's something that the community, our Dominion community has been asking for. And I think it's just, it'll be beneficial in this community, just given where we're at and given our tuition rate for a private school. I think we're a really attractive option for people. So we're really excited about that, and we'll be sending out a lot of information probably starting around August. I don't want to get it out too early because I don't want people to think we're opening this year.
That's right.
But we already have around 100 inquiries because on our web, you can go to our website and have a frequently asked questions, and then you can hit a link and put in your information so that then we already have your information so we can send you newsletters and stuff that come out. We already have 100 some odd inquiries in our database of people that are just curious about it. So really excited for what God's doing. And again, we feel like this is the direction God's leading us, and it'll be exciting to be a K through 12 school. I don't know how crazy. I mean, I have 250 6th through 12th graders right now. I'm like, I must be nuts wanting to go to 400 K through 12th graders. But no, it's exciting, and we're just we're excited to see what God has planned for Dominion next. And that's big news.
Dominion's been a blessing for a long time in this community, and obviously opening that door is even more of a blessing because I know there are people in this area that want that option. And some of them who already have kids at Dominion would love to have their other kids there too. So that's even better.
And that's the thing. It's, we hear that a lot of, hey, I've got a 9th grader and I've got a 7th grader and then I've got a 2nd grader and we don't have a place for the 2nd grader, but now we'll be able to offer that option to our families, which is incredible.
Well, we're so grateful at Gospel Reformed Church that you guys have opened up your doors to allow us to be there on Sundays to worship. We're so thankful for that opportunity. It's a great facility, wonderful place to worship the Lord, and you guys are affording us something that you just can't find in this area.
Right.
It's so difficult to find a space. The cost is through the roof at most places, and so we're grateful and thankful for what you guys are doing for us at Gospel Reformed Church.
And here's what's crazy about that. You talk about full circle moments and everything. So I coached you in 8th grade, Mick, and here I am. I ended up at Dominion. And you're looking for a place to meet. You know what I'm saying? And the people that are part of your congregation, like your dad, who I've known for a long time, but the Dave Westerfields.
That's right.
The Justin Fullers, who, I mean, here again, talking about moments, his oldest son went to Dominion when I got there, but here again, Justin knew my dad because my dad worked at Hardy. You see what I'm saying? Like, it's crazy when you look back and you see this, like, we read these stories in the Bible and we know the ending of it.
Yep.
They didn't know the ending.
Didn't. No.
When they're going through it, just like we don't.
No.
And I look back and I'm just like, you see how God has woven all of these stories together.
Yeah.
And I like, it's crazy how you're meeting in that space. And like, I was the one that had to make the decision on, can you meet here? Can you not meet here? And open up the space and whatnot, because I'm in charge of the facility. But you and I have some history together, and parts of your members of your congregation I have history with. And so I think it's just another way that God's just showing us how He's in charge of every detail.
Yes.
And He cares about every detail.
He does.
And, I don't know. I just look back. It's always amazing to me. I'm just amazed. And so we're happy to do it. Any way we can help, reach more people for the kingdom, then, whether it's through education at Dominion, whether it's through, your church meeting there, however we can do it, we want to be part of that.
Well, Ed, thank you for all of that, but also, thank you for sharing the gospel. I mean, it's what you're doing. You really are. You've had to walk through it and live it, and now you're doing the same thing with so many other families at Dominion, which obviously has fingertips into the community.
Sure.
And so, again, the Lord has placed you in just a time such as this to be a blessing to many. So thank you. Thank you for this time. I know we got to draw this to a close. But thank you guys for tuning in. We appreciate it. We're praying for you. Please pray for us. And if you'd like to support the podcast, take a look at the link in the description below. God bless.